Now, bear with me for a second, please. What if this whole entire time, independent from the individual sentient species beings, a higher tier, a higher octave of a mycelium network, aka nature under nature, was in control the whole entire time, and a certain individual sentience living form beings were under the guise of portioned nature, and nature always doing what nature does, because that's what nature is inhabited and provoked to do. So for an example, we as individual sentient beings are within an earth plane. And as we're on this earth plane, we're perceiving it to see things happen in certain ways that are seemingly detriment and beneficial, and how we're using it is seemingly detriment and beneficial. But nature herself, she could be under her own guise, where she's just making us seem like that's happening when she could be doing that to herself. And maybe she's letting us do that within our smaller portion of herself. Because we are nature, we're a portion of nature. So maybe nature within has portioned herself, and all the individual sentient beings, no matter what star race, alien race, species race, most respectively, that is still a portion of the higher tier of nature. So within the higher tier of nature, she's testing us, but we don't necessarily know we're a smaller portion of that. And as we're being tested by her, we're seeing what leverage or what we'll do with that which she has provided us. But in the end, she still compensates how she compensates. She still, has the recycling input output mechanisms beyond the earth, though. Because what if nature was in control the whole time? Because there's an in-between space above and below the earth plane, and the in-between space is the fair play arena. And within that fair play arena, that's where we have our portioned percentage of quote unquote free will, end quote. And I say quote unquote free will, end quote, because we don't necessarily have free will how we think we do. Our stomach is going to want to eat. So we're kind of being provoked along to do what we need to do based on our own nature, based on what we are within the species that we are, and the other species that we're connecting in however direct or indirect way we're connecting to those species. But for us to define and individuate and clarify our own our own format and arena of our perception, that's a miracle. And that's like that a certain context of DNA is helping us do that. But what if nature was in control the whole time? Because on a bigger plane, underneath all of the earth plane, that could be looked at as nature. And within, how it seems that nature is being kind of exploited, what if it's not? Because that's not really doing anything to nature on the bigger picture, and she's already compensating all of that. It's just that she's just testing us on how we're gonna use her. Because the earth plane, aside from the solar system, in between the earth plane, the nuanced earth plane in between the solar system and the real organic galaxy, not the galaxy that's just fragmented in like this heady mental like masculinated way and polarized way. It's a different context of a galaxy, and within that different context of the galaxy, nature is there, above a certain plane of an in-between point of how the earth plane and the water plane are kind of like partners, and it's nuanced in between that which is more of a holistic elemental nature, which you could call God, because like, what if God was in control the whole time, but we just didn't perceive it because God is experimenting and testing with us based on what we're going to do with our small percentage of micro free will, because we still have some wiggle room in between that which rises and falls. There's a rest period, and from that rest period of all the different chakras that are doing its thing on its own nature, there's some type of like resting point where we get to like more or less choose how we get to approach the direction, but it's like you could like, because obviously if you're gonna say we have no free will, you're gonna have to disprove that. But like, and I only got 1.5 minutes on this doc for some reason. In between the space above and below Earth, because Earth being the middle plane, the higher beings are more magnified within their dualities. They're governing, a certain portion of nature, but even nature is tricking them because they're still portions of nature. They're just on a higher, magnification, and somehow they have lineage to be in a position that they're in. So I'm obviously going to do a part two. I only have like 20 seconds on this. But what if nature was in control the whole time, And on a bigger hidden level, the earth realm is more like expansive in a different context for a different particular type of species that we could actually, collaborate with nature rather than her testing us and experimenting with us within this format.